Hey there everyone, and welcome to another devlog. A big sorry on my part for the long silence, but yeah, I'm still alive and kicking. But yeah, also kind of sorry for the lighting situation here. It's not that perfect. I need to change that around a bit, but it will do for now. I wanted to get this video out. But yeah, basically there was a lot of stuff going on, and because of that it took me so long to also make a new video. But yeah, let me go over this. I don't know how long this video will be because there's a lot to go over, and yeah, I will also let some timestamps down on the video so that you can jump around in the video and find the parts that you are interested in, like the Calamity parts where I talk about what is new in Calamity, stuff like that. But yeah, let me begin here and give you guys a short little summary on kind of what was going on. So basically the day job was wearing me out a lot and was kind of stressful, so I didn't found that much time to make more stuff in game development, which pretty sucked. And because of that, I got really unhappy after kind of half a year of the day job, and I decided to, what can I do to change that situation, and how can I maybe lower the cost of living for myself so that I kind of can try to go back into full-time game development again. And I got quite lucky that time around, because a friend of mine was searching for a new roommate, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's try that, let's have a look. And it turns out it worked. So I'm here. I'm in a new environment. I moved house, which kind of is pretty cool, and I'm pretty happy here. I'm now living together with more people in a big house on a lake, and it's quite beautiful here. So I'm really excited and happy about that. Also, the thing is, this kind of cut my living expenses for rent in half, which is a huge deal. So I quit my day job again, and I will be beginning to start full-time game development again in November. So basically, I want to stream full-time 5 days a week over on Twitch. So yeah, you can follow this and go there and yada yada, do that stuff. But yeah, basically, I hope that through streaming 5 days a week and the Patreon support and stuff like that, a bit of money comes in so I can kind of sustain this for a bit longer. And there is the plan to make another little game and release it in April 2026. I will talk about the game in more detail later in the video. But yeah, the idea behind that is to kind of release a game that hopefully helps me sustain kind of the development for Calamity through the money that game brings in. And also, the other thing with that is releasing a commercial game as a solo developer will give me way stronger arguments for publishers if I'm searching a publisher for Calamity. Like, I can argue that I know what I'm doing, I also have a finished released product, and so they are more likely to maybe think about investing into Calamity if they see, hey, this person has a released game as a solo developer and knows what he's doing. The third thing is, for the other game, I'm also kind of making stuff that I need for Calamity, so I kind of can reuse that, and making that game will then also kind of help the development for Calamity. So, but now let's finally start to talk about Calamity. The Executioner armor is finally in the game. The armor will be dropped by the Executioner mini-boss, and you can of course mix and match it with every other armor and create some truly horrible fashion. But it's about the stats, right? All the armor stats in-game still have to be balanced. For now, it's just getting in the armor and yeah, kind of look at the balancing later on, like when we have more armor pieces in place, so that I can truly figure out how I want the balancing to be. The rogue enemy is now also finally in the game. She has different versions with different attack patterns. She can have a dagger and sometimes dual daggers, or she can have a sword or dual swords. The rogue will also pack quite a punch, especially if she gets on low health, because her moveset will slightly change and she will pull out some heavy hitting attacks. And of course she can drop her weapons and armor for you to use. Another thing that I changed is how the damage of light and heavy attacks gets calculated. In Calamity, every attack animation will spawn an attack or skill, and through that the damage is calculated. The spawned attack or skill had a flat damage value that got added to the weapon damage. This approach didn't really work for how I wanted to set up the attacks in my game, because with this setup the damage difference between light and heavy attacks was just a flat damage value. This would have been problematic because this would not have been scalable for higher level areas and higher level weapons. So to combat this, I changed it so that the damage is calculated by the inherent weapon damage multiplied by the stat bonuses for weapon damage, and then there is also another multiplier for if the attack is a heavy attack or a light attack. With this setup, the heavy attacks get a bonus damage of 50%. This multiplier is also easily adjustable for different weapon types, so I can also have specific fast attacking weapons where the damage bonus on heavy attacks is a bit lower because the weapon has a very fast attack speed, or vice versa. Another thing that I changed around a bit was how attributes are working. At the moment you can skill 4 attributes: Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence and Endurance. Strength will affect your overall attack power and will make your hit harder. Dexterity is affecting your attack speed and your crit chance. Endurance will affect how much life you have, and Intelligence affects your mana. At the moment there is nothing that uses mana, so this skill basically does nothing. I think I will change the effect of Intelligence to give bonus damage to spells and sorceries, because at the moment I'm not planning to use mana in the game at all. But obviously this is a topic for balancing later on, so the effects of the stats and attributes will probably change a bit later on in development when I'm getting around to do some balancing and look what feels right. I also added blocking for enemies, but I still have to add the visual feedback. If the enemy runs out of stamina for blocking, he will be stunned. It works, but I still want to change some stuff around on it so that it feels a bit more responsive. And also I have to adjust the enemy AI a bit so that they aren't blocking all of the time. Some other minor things I added are, for example, a new mouse cursor. The cursor is using a picture of an in-game model and I think it really fits the style of the game. I added some more VFX for the game, for example the impact of the bone cutter weapon. After that I fixed a bug where the enemies would spawn under the foggy forest area. I still need to keep an eye on that to see if it really got fixed. I also added unarmed attacks for when you don't have a weapon equipped. I kinda wanted to add this for some time now and it's finally in. So you basically now can punch and kick your way through enemies, but you obviously will deal very little damage doing that. The game now also has a brand new main menu. It was quite a pain in the butt to get the UI as I wanted it to be. Quite honestly, this took ages, which was kind of frustrating to be honest, because I implemented this while I was working the day job and it really felt like I'm not getting forward with the game at all. But now it is in and I kinda really like it. I'm not totally pleased with the selection indicator at the moment. I think it doesn't fit in that well and I will definitely change that later on. After that I began implementing some new sounds into the game. There are now sounds for blocking, shooting the bow, some heavy footsteps mainly for the mini-boss, some footsteps for concrete or stone, sounds for breaking stuff like barrels, crates and doors. I'm still not that happy with the sound of breaking stuff, but for now it's okay. The rogue enemy got her own idle noise, and also the mini-boss got his own idle voice, which kind of is me. These sounds are most of the time sounds from Soundly that I changed around or combined, mixed and adjusted in Reaper. I also added some environmental sounds. The main sound is from a sound pack, and I think I will change that out over time because it's not directly what I want the environment to sound like, but that will come at a later point. There are also some raven sounds that I recorded in a forest myself. This is also a thing that I want to incorporate way more, recording some sounds that I want to have in the game myself or let myself get inspired by sounds if I stumble upon them. For example, the chains on the chimney sweep cleaning cord. Actually, I have no idea how the tool is named in English, to be honest, but yeah, well. The chain rustling sound is so nice, I totally have to use that in the game. After all of that, I finally began working on a new area of the map, the ruined town. I had most of the assets for this area for quite some time now, but it always takes a lot of time to really build up the houses out of the modular tiles and build them so that you can easily reuse them later on. To better build up the houses, I used a separate scene to put them all together. Also, of course, if you're building a house, you always find some tiles that are missing or that you want to have, and then you have to go back to Blender and make them. This also took quite some time. One big thing that I noticed while working with these tiles is that it gets way more complicated and takes way more time if you're making tiles for houses that the player can potentially walk into. The reason for that is you can't fake things by overlapping the meshes because the players would see that. You could do that if you are planning to block off the rooms where you overlap the meshes so that the players can't walk into them and see what is going on. Let me give you an example here. If we are looking into this tile set that you can buy on the marketplace, we can see that the roof tiles overlap on intricate roof structures because they simply use the tiles that they had to build the specific roof structure. They can do that because they will not let the players enter areas of the building where they could potentially see that. So they didn't need to make another roof tile. If we look at this example in Calamity, you can see that I modeled this specific roof tile so that I can build roofs with that structure and also have the player enter the upper rooms of the house where they can see the roof from the inside. Let's look at another example from the Unreal Marketplace. Here we can clearly see that the models of the house were never intended to be visited on the inside by players. For further houses or structures, I will probably use a mix of both of these techniques. This will prevent me from making too many assets that aren't that necessary, but also will provide some more unique structures and areas for the players to explore. I think the key here is to find a good balance between those two techniques. And finally, I also applied for the Epic Mega Grant with Calamity. For that, I updated and redesigned the pitch that I sent in for the Hamburg funding back in the day. I'm pretty happy with how the new pitch turned out. I added way more visuals and updated the contents of the pitch. There's also a link to the complete pitch on my Patreon channel. I will know if Calamity got the grant sometime in December. Getting the Epic Mega Grant would help a lot with the development of Calamity, but of course I cannot count on that. So as I mentioned before, I'm also working on another little game that I want to release in April 2026 to also help the financing of Calamity. That game is called Bloodspill. So now let's talk a little bit about Bloodspill. The game idea for Bloodspill was also floating around in my head for quite some time now, even before I started with Calamity. Bloodspill is basically a fast-paced multiplayer shooter with one hit. It's highly inspired by Half-Life Deathmatch, Quake and Unreal Tournament. The players basically have a crossbow and a melee weapon. Every hit will be a one hit. The crossbow has a long reload time, while the melee weapon hits very fast. The melee weapon also can deflect incoming attacks, so you can basically block incoming crossbow bolts and rush to your enemy. There will be 3 game modes: Deathmatch, Capture the Flag and Conquest. So how did I end up working on this game? So at the beginning of this year I was looking into Steam's multiplayer subsystem for Calamity, because I also want to have co-op in Calamity. So I wanted to test out how to create lobbies and how players can connect to one another using Steam's peer-to-peer system. While doing so, I wanted to have something that I can test this with. So I thought, I could make that fun little deathmatch shooter I wanted to make back in the day and test the Steam peer-to-peer system with that. So yeah, this is kind of what I did. And yeah, this is what brought me to work on Bloodspill. As you can see, I'm also using the assets and overall style that I'm using for Calamity. This was done deliberately and means that I can also use all the assets and things I create for Bloodspill in Calamity later on. So basically the development from Bloodspill will also help to get Calamity ready. This also means that the next devlogs will be about Bloodspill and how the development of that game is coming along. Also, not gonna lie, I'm super excited to show off more of that game and have a little playtest ready really soon. So, but this is it for now for the video, and yeah, thank you all for being here, thank you all for watching the videos and stuff like that, and the continued support for Calamity and also like in general the things I do, that really means a lot. Also, a special shout out to everyone supporting me on Patreon. That also really helps a lot, especially now where I kind of quit the day job. And yeah, thank you all so much for that. And yeah, that is it for now. Thank you all again for watching and have a good one. Huge and special shout out to the top tier supporters, which are Clean, Sastavas and Ivan End. And Krumi, who just subscribed 1 day before the video finished. Thank you all so much. I look away from the screen for 2 minutes and come back to this. Let him cook.